Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, thank you again for joining us for yet another conversation under the topic strategic communication during COVID-19. We began this conversation giving you a walkthrough of MailChimp to talk about how to send mass emails to internal and external listservs. And then we continued the conversation to go a little bit more into the weeds. And we talked about a program called Canva. We did a walkthrough of that. And then we also just recently did a walkthrough of a program called Ladder Basics. And so today what we want to do, today is Ladder Basics. So what we want to do today is talk a little bit about social media and how important that is during this time, and also walk you through a program that'll make scheduling your social media posts easier. A lot of people steer away from being as active as they could be on social media because the misconception is you don't have the time, to continue to post and keep relevant information out there. But what we found is that a big portion of our audience really do seek social media outlets like Facebook to find information, to get updates on different programs and services that we offer. So it's an essential tool if you use it correctly. And hopefully after this walkthrough, you'll find that this will save you a lot of time, and you'll be able to schedule posts ahead of time in order to better serve your clients using social media. So I want to turn it over to Andrea Young, who is our digital content specialist. She has done a wonderful job with a pre-recorded walkthrough for you guys. Please feel free to throw in comments and questions in the chat, like Robin said. But what we really want you to take out of this is that this tool can be used by anyone on your staff if they're willing to plug in and really take advantage of what it has to offer. We have a social media scheduling tool that we use, and we hope that you'll find this one useful as well. And with that said, I'll turn it over to Andrea.
Hello, my name is Andrea, and I'm the digital content specialist for WorkSource Georgia. I've had experience in using a wide range of online platforms to design and schedule content over the years. And for people getting started with scheduling social media content, I highly recommend using a program called Later, because that's what I used in the past. It's how I personally got started, and it was very easy for me to learn and understand and grasp pretty quickly. So what is Later? Later is a leading visual marketing platform that allows you to plan, schedule, and publish your social media posts, all for free or at a really low cost. So what does that mean? This means that instead of interrupting your day to log into Facebook or Instagram to post a picture, write out a caption, link to an event, you can schedule to post content on both accounts, on both Instagram and Facebook, at the same time, essentially killing two birds with one stone. So you don't have to manually replicate posts when we have a software available that can do that for us. So why use Later? You can save yourself a lot of time. Later allows your social media team, or if it's just you, to save time by scheduling content ahead of time so you can set it and forget it. Imagine being able to schedule a week's worth of content in under an hour. This means that you can do more. Since you save time with scheduling multiple posts at once, think of how you can use your saved time. Maybe you want to design other posts or explore courses on design. The possibilities are really endless. So enough talking about Later, let's get started. First, we'll need to make sure that we're connected to our Facebook and Instagram accounts. On our internet browser for this training, I'll be using Google Chrome. So I am logged into my Facebook account, and I'm going to navigate over to our Facebook page, WorkSource Georgia. Go ahead and click on that. And in the Facebook page settings of our WorkSource Georgia account, I'll need to make sure that I am an admin. So I'll need to go to settings. and then click Page Roles. And you'll just need to make sure that your name is here as an admin. If it's not, you can contact the other administrators for your Facebook page to make sure that you or whoever will be running your later account will be an admin. So that looks good. We're going to make sure that we're logged into Instagram. It looks like we are. So we're in our Instagram WorkSource Georgia page and our Facebook WorkSource Georgia page. And just as a side note here, if you're running into trouble, whether at this point or later on, in connecting or removing social media accounts to your Later account, Later has an article on this that I will link to this training that'll kind of go more in depth on any issues you might potentially run into when connecting your Instagram or Facebook accounts to Later. It should be relatively straightforward, but there is an article that goes more in depth on what additional steps you might have to take if you're having some difficulties with that. So assuming that we've logged into our Facebook and Instagram accounts, we're going to go ahead and go to later.com, and then we're going to go to the upper right and click Create Account. For name, I would recommend putting, your local area. For us, this will be WorkSource Georgia. For you, it might be WorkSource Georgia Mountains, WorkSource Coastal, etc. For your email address, for now, because only one person will be managing your Later account, you can, use use your email for that. For me, I'm going to put mine, which is ayoung@tcsg.edu. And then I'll enter a password. And then we'll click Create Account. And you can save that password to your keychain if you'd like. And then we'll get a pop-up window that says account created, connect your Instagram profile to start scheduling. We'll click that button, Connect Instagram Profile. So then you'll need to log into Instagram one more time. And once you have your Instagram credentials entered, go ahead and click Login. So after you log in, it's going to say, "Hi, WorkSource Georgia," or WorkSource, whatever your name is. Later is requesting to do the following: access your profile info and access your media. So we do want to grant Later access to our Instagram. So we're going to click Authorize. So because this is the first time we are creating a Later account, it's going to ask us some questions just to kind of figure out what kind of account we need. So it's going to ask questions that are optional to do, but doesn't hurt. So what category best represents WorkSource Georgia? For us, it'll be Education and Improvement, Government and Law, and Provide a Service. And you could say 2 or more physical locations and more than one person. So what best describes our account? I would say it's an agency service provider. So with those options selected, go ahead and click Continue. And then with this next step, when you click Get Industry Insights, it's just going to show you some hashtags it recommends you use for some of your posts. A lot of these probably won't be relevant. A lot of different industries use Later, which is how they've been able to compile all this data on hashtags. So, take this industry insights with a grain of salt. You may not need to use hashtag lawyer if you have a post, about welders, for example. So just be mindful that these suggestions, while they can be helpful, they're not always relevant. So just keep that in mind. We're going to go ahead and click Finish Setup. Then after reviewing their privacy policy and terms of service, you can click Agree and Continue. Great. So now in the next window, we see this window that says Set up Auto Publishing. Facebook owns Instagram and requires a connection. Please ensure your Instagram profile is connected to a Facebook page, you have admin access to the Facebook page, and that pop-up blockers are turned off. So we're just going to assume that for the sake of time that you have these settings up and running. So if you need more assistance with this, I do recommend clicking Learn More or Check Roles. But for the sake of time, we're not going to dive too deep into these options. They do walk you through that if you do need more guidance. But I'm just going to assume that the people in this training right now have been managing the other social media accounts for their local areas, so that you are the admin for your Facebook page and you have already connected your Facebook page to your Instagram account. So if you're not sure about these settings and what you have, if you click Set up Auto Publishing, it'll walk you through those steps. It may not match exactly what I have on my screen. It'll ask you to verify additional things, and you'll just have to kind of follow the steps that are presented on your screen in that way, or just click these links to learn more about each of those settings. But for now, we're going to click Set up Auto Publishing. Then we see a pop-up window that says schedule your first post. Drag a photo onto the calendar, add a caption and hashtags, save, and you're done. So we're going to walk through those steps one by one just to kind of get a deeper look as far as how we can do all of those things. So we're going to go ahead and click schedule post. Great. So on the next screen, I kind of refer to this as your dashboard. So in the first column, that's kind of like your menu navigation. We have calendar, media library, conversations, analytics, collect media, and link in bio. At the bottom, we have settings, training, and help. Under settings, if you click that, you can see that we do have the free plan. You can always upgrade later if you find the need to do that. So your username, your email, your password, your time zone, and the different social media accounts that you already have connected, and how many posts you have left in your free account. If you click social sets and access groups, we can see that our main group, a social set is essentially all of the social media accounts you have connected to your Later account. Later allows you to connect your Instagram, which is what we just did, your Facebook account, your Twitter, or your Pinterest. We click details. We can see here that our Instagram account is connected. We just logged in with that, so that's connected. And here we can see we can add more social media profiles. So we do want to add our Facebook page. So we can go ahead and click Add Social Profile. And then we can click over Facebook. We want to hit the plus button right next to the Facebook logo. And then at the bottom, we'll click Add Social Profile. So because we're already logged into our Facebook page, you'll just need to click the Facebook page you'd like to connect to your Later account. So this is our WorkSource Georgia Facebook page. I'll go ahead and click that. And now we can see that both Instagram and Facebook are connected. And you would follow those same steps to connect your Twitter or your Pinterest account. Now we'll click Users just to see what that is. So right now we only have one user, yourself, or whatever email you use to create the account. Later only allows for one user, one email account to manage the Later account, but you can upgrade to add users. So that'll be optional, down the line if you feel the need to do so. Under subscription, again, it's kind of like, I guess, the same thing really, just another way to see what plan you currently have. And if you click upgrade plan, it'll show you additional options where you can manage your billing or payment and view extra users. If you click devices and notifications, here is basically where you can connect your mobile device. So this is where it's not entirely necessary because we opted to have later schedule and post content automatically. So the only reason you need to really connect your cell phone is if you wanted to be notified that, okay, later has a post coming up that needs to be scheduled at 3 p.m. Do you want to allow this? So it's kind of like how an email or text notification would appear on your phone. You just get like a notification from later saying, hey, there's this post coming up. Do you want to post it? But because we're not doing that, because we're doing it automatically, you don't necessarily need to connect your phone to your later account, but it is an option if you want to kind of be more hands-on with the content that is being pushed out by later. Also, I like to point your attention to this training icon at the bottom left. If you click that, if you want to learn more about later, if you want to really dive deeper into, the different features that are available in later that we don't necessarily have the time to cover in this training feature offered in later that lets you learn more about later is available for free. You can, click to learn more about different features and kind of explore that at your own pace online. But for now, we're going to click X and go back to calendar. So we're going to go ahead and grab our training material images. We're going to highlight all of them. There should be six images. We're going to highlight all of them, click them, and then drag them onto our later window. When the screen turns gray, we're going to let go. While those images they're loaded, you can see here that we have a preview of a week. If you can navigate to the top right, you'll see a button that says month, and you can see the content, your calendar rather, for a month. But we're going to go back to week. And then up here at the top, we can see our social media icon. So we can see that Facebook has a logo here and our Instagram as well. So right now we're only viewing our Instagram calendar because this has a pink circle around it. Over our Facebook calendar, we're going to hover over it, and then once a plus sign appears, we'll click that. So now we're viewing both our Instagram and Facebook calendars. So in today's training scenario, your local area has an upcoming welding program that you want to showcase on your social media channels, Instagram and Facebook. And you've already created the social media graphics. We just uploaded those to our later account. And so we want to schedule them to be published at a later date. Great. So with both our Instagram and our Facebook accounts selected, we are going to schedule a post to go on to both Instagram and Facebook for November 18th at 1 p.m. So using your calendar navigation arrows here at the top, we're going to locate November 18th, 1 p.m. So once we know where that is, we can click our image and then drag it the same way we uploaded them to later for November 18th at 1 p.m. Once we're there, we can let go, and then a new window will appear. So we can see that our Facebook page and our Instagram page are both at the top here. I went ahead and wrote a caption for today's training, so you don't have to think about that off the top of your head. So we're going to go ahead and copy that from the training materials and paste it right here where it says post caption. So I went ahead and included hashtags in that caption. It looks like it's missing an emoji. I think emojis are great. So if you click the smiley face icon, you can find, relevant, fun emoji to include. I think the megaphone is always a safe option. And then you can also, fill in the blank with these other fill in the blank rather with your local area's name, so it's more real. You can see I also included hashtags. So at the bottom here, it says save captions. So we're going to go ahead and click that. So a new window will appear to the side and it'll say copy current text as a saved caption. So we're going to click that. And the reason I like using that option is because I don't particularly like having to write out hashtags over and over and over again. So we just copied our entire post caption here. We're going to delete the caption part and keep the hashtag part. Because when we at here at Works with Georgia, when we post and schedule content for social media, it's usually not a standalone post. We like to batch our content. So, for example, for the Disability Awareness Month, which was in October, we created and scheduled, I think, 4 or 5 posts, and we used similar hashtags to share with each of those. So I was using this for that, and I didn't have to retype the hashtags over and over again. So I imagine, in this example or in the future, you'll try to batch content and not create standalone content necessarily. So for this will be our welding hashtag. So I'll just type welding and then click save caption. And you can also hit the plus button to create a new one, and do it that way, of course. And let's go back. And that's just a shortcut I like to use to save time. So we're done for now. Click done with that. So the post caption looks good. The hashtags are relevant. The image looks great. Our posts are scheduled for November 18th at 1 p.m. So once you're happy with all that, hopefully you replace these, you can hit next. And what happens here? So 2 posts will be created, right? We're creating one for Facebook and one for Instagram. So it's going to make sure that for each separate post, you are tailoring it to that social media platform. And I know, like, for example, if you connected your Twitter account, right, you're limited to, I think, 240 characters. So if you have a longer caption for Facebook or Instagram, it might be too long for your Twitter account. So at this point, you would go in and kind of edit it down to make sure that for Twitter, it's not going over the allotted characters. And this is where, in this window, you would kind of hone in on those details. But for now, for this example, for Facebook and Instagram, this looks great. But this is where you would get specific on the content for each social media account. At the bottom here, we can see that the method of publishing is auto, which is great. After we hit create post, we're not going to have to worry about it. The post will be automatically created, scheduled, and posted for the chosen time. So we're going to go ahead and click create posts at the bottom. And then up at the top, it says your post has been scheduled. And we can see that there's a blue icon, it's loading the image, and then a pink one. So blue is for Facebook, pink is for Instagram. I believe Pinterest would be red and Twitter would be like a lighter blue. But you can kind of get the idea with reviewing the post created for each social media account. So just because you chose November 18th at 1 p.m. doesn't mean that that's, set in stone. I think our caption said that you have to submit your application by like November 22nd or 23rd, something like that. But maybe you want to give them more time to submit their application, right? If you want to change the time of the post, all you have to do is click the image and then just drag it to another day. You can change the time during that day. You can change the day entirely. And you don't necessarily only have to do this in the week preview. You can do this in the month preview as well. So that'll make it easier for you to kind of jump between weeks and schedule content as you need from there. So because it's so quick and easy to schedule content, I'll go ahead and do it one more time just to make sure that you're comfortable in scheduling content. So we'll just repeat the same steps. We're going to click on image that we uploaded and drag it to our calendar. And notice how I'm doing the month view this time. and the default will be that day for 12 p.m. So as soon as I let go, we see the post caption. Again, I already wrote out a caption for this post. So we're going to go ahead and copy that from our training materials, and then we'll paste it into the caption window. I don't like the bullets, so we're going to delete those. And maybe this is just a personal preference, but whenever I have bullets that I don't want to be bullets, I will change those to be emojis. I feel like that's a pretty common practice on social media posts. At least that's what I've seen. So you make sure that you're choosing relevant emojis. Let's see. Those look good. And so because we already saved our hashtags, all we have to do is click Save Captions. There's our hashtag part that we've saved. We can click that, and there it is. And again, I use this for hashtags, but you can, use it for the caption part. I tend to call this the caption part, although it's all technically the caption, but you can use this feature for this part because you might have similar posts. For example, this is identical to what we used in our previous posts. But it all depends on your personal, workflow and what you really like to do. That's just an option there for you to consider. The typo there. And you don't necessarily have to have your captions, ready to go to copy and paste. If I think of an interesting caption, I don't necessarily log into later and schedule it right there. I keep like a separate Word document anyway and kind of compile them there. So I'll have, maybe like 10 or 15 captions, ideally, right? So you're batching content. You can write all your captions out. You can think of an image that is related to that caption to promote an event or an upcoming training, kind of like what we're doing here. And then set aside 1 hour a week just to crank out all that content in an hour. So that's just the way I like to approach it. We can change the time here. You can click the 12 p.m. and we can schedule it a little later. Let's pick 5 p.m. and then we'll click next. So just as before, you can edit these captions to be a little different. So that they're not identical. This is where you do that. But imagine how easy later makes it in that you can do it all in one window. You're not having to go separately to Facebook or Instagram and doing it from there. Also, Instagram, you can't schedule content ahead of time using their platform. You'd have to use some kind of integration to schedule content ahead of time. Facebook does allow you to schedule content using their internal platform, but why not, take advantage of a platform like this that's free that you can do separate social media channels at the same time. All right. Again, it's auto. Everything looks good. We're going to click Create Posts. And there it is. So we created 4 posts for social media in less than 30 minutes. So you can imagine how quickly you can create content on later. So with the free account, you are limited to 30 posts for Facebook and 30 posts for Instagram. But if you're posting, 1 post a day, that seems to be more than enough, for us anyway. So that is kind of a preview of how to schedule content on later.
All right, well, thank you for participating in today's training session. We will now begin the live Q&A session with Andrea. So please enter your questions in the chat box. And now I will turn things over to Andrea.
Hello, everybody. So if anyone has any questions about later, I'm happy to answer them. I did make a note in the Zoom chat box that you get 30 posts per social media account per month. So just because you have a free account, you're not really limited to only 30 posts in the lifetime of the account. You do get 30 posts per Facebook every single month, 30 posts per Instagram every month. So you never have to worry necessarily about posts or running out of posts to schedule. And there's a question in the chat, does Later support video posts? To my knowledge, they currently don't. And I could see how that could be kind of disappointing, really. In the free account necessarily, I don't think they do. That might be one of the features they have in their upgraded plan. So if you are interested in scheduling video content, that's something I would look to, or I would recommend you look into that for an upgraded plan with Later. We use, there's another question in the chat. We use Hootsuite. Is there something you prefer about Later? So we actually at WorkSource Georgia, we use Hootsuite. I just used Later in the beginning, and I found it easier to use when I was first getting started with social media, when I really didn't know anything about social media, so I was using Later in the beginning and then kind of transitioned into Hootsuite. I found that Later was kind of simplified as far as the interface and just the ease of use. And that's why I wanted to kind of conduct a training on Later first. If there is interest in Hootsuite, if there are people that would like to hear a training on Hootsuite, that's something that we can definitely get on the calendar, I think, at some point. But yeah, just I would say Later is just for people that are just getting started with social media. I think that Later is the great first step.
Okay. Are there any more questions? If not, I'd like to thank Andrea for her presentation, the pre-recorded presentation, and everything that she does. I call her the magician. So as a reminder, you will receive a link to the recording and webinar materials within a week. And we thank you again. Let's see, is there another question coming in? Let's see.
Okay, yeah, Instagram does not support URLs. How do you navigate those within doing dual posts for Facebook and Instagram? So for that, I can actually share my screen to show you what I do for that. So 1 second. Okay, can people see my screen? My Google Chrome pink themed screen. So for those who schedule content for social media, you know that when you put a URL in your Instagram caption, it won't be clickable. So it doesn't work, and there's really no point to including a URL in your Instagram caption. You can only include a URL or a link in your Facebook post. So to work around this, what I recommend doing is creating an account on what's it called, Linktree. And the website is, and I can put it in the Zoom chat box as well. It's called Linktree, and it's abbreviated weirdly, but it's free. So you can just create an account for that. And essentially, once you create an account there, it'll provide a link to you that you can put in your Instagram bio. And that link, once it's clicked, will show like a menu of buttons that you can include links out. So essentially in your Instagram captions, instead of putting the URL that's not going to work, you can say, click the link in our bio, which I'm sure that those of you who use Instagram have seen a lot. You'll put, click the link in our bio, and they'll go to the link in the bio and then be navigated to that link you'd like to link out to, if that makes sense. But I think we don't actually use this for WorkSource Georgia, but I have used it in the past. It is free, and I do recommend this. Or we can create an account actually. But this is just a workaround that I would recommend for folks if you do want to provide links to your users on Instagram because you can't use the URL, if that makes sense. And I can also write a breakdown of how to actually walk through these steps that we can send out with the rest of these resources for this training as well. And if anyone else has additional questions, you can email me as well at ayoung@tcsg.edu, and I'm happy to help out in any way I can. Okay.
Oh, there's another, yeah.
We actually have an Instagram page built into our website that does the same thing. It just takes an extra step to upload, trying to find better solutions to streamline posting to multiple social media platforms. Right. Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with that because Facebook does own Instagram. So maybe in the future they might allow the integration of URLs so we don't have to be using external integrations. Because yeah, I've definitely had to find a workaround like Linktree to kind of navigate that.
Okay.
Anyways,
Well,
yeah.
if
Thank you
there
so much.
are no more questions for today, and as Andrea mentioned, you can always reach out to her by email, ayoung@tcsg.edu. But for now, we would like to thank you again for participating in today's presentation. And we hope that you have a wonderful day. Actually, Andrea, can you put up the your contact info? And then
yes.
we'll just leave that up for a couple minutes.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.